Today I have a rough country cold air intake for an F250 2011 through 2016 Ford 6.7 that we're going to remove the stock air intake and we're going to put it in this rough country. I'm going to try this out. Rough country, I got some stuff in the past. They have good quality products and their prices are definitely better. So in the kit here comes nicely boxed in here. We got a metal cold air intake box. Seems to be nice. We'll see how it fits. Got a pretty big cold air intake filter. This does not need to be oiled. It's actually reusable and rewashable. I kind of like those a little more, and they seem to work really well. I have them on another F250 I had. It was without oil. So then we have the different rubber intakes, connectors. Got the intake rubber connector that goes on the engine with the pipe. Has a section for the sensors and the regulator, little air regulator that tells you if it's getting clogged or not. So what we need to do is come over here. And first thing, I'm going to do this video, I am going to take the stock air intake out, the first half, which is going to be pretty quick. And I'm not going to mess around showing you all sorts of details. And then the second half is going to be putting the rough country cold air intake in. So first thing you need to do with this is you need to loosen up the tubes here. This tube just comes out from under there. You don't need to disconnect those. This one you're going to loosen up as well. And then you need to get the mass airflow sensor. Be careful with this because these break really easy. This one was in a front end accident. I rebuilt this engine, and so it was so bad that this actually got cracked a bit. I don't think these are super cheap. So pull the red out, push down and pull back. Just be careful with that. Tuck it away to the side, and you're going to undo right here as well, this clip from the box, the air intake box. I actually am going to tuck this down here so it doesn't get leaned on and cracked. Then you got to undo these clips here. You're going to need this for later to take this out and put it onto the other intake. All right. And then what it does is it slides into the slots back there. Next thing you have to do is right over here, loosen up the clamp. Get that going the right way. There we go. All right. Loosen that clamp up. And then I'm going to have to use two hands. You're going to, of course, hopefully everybody knows how to change their air filter. You have to lift up on this and slide it forward. You can even undo this clamp right here to help, and do it in two sections, this section and that section. Right here, be careful with this. This is the mass flow air sensor. Do not crack that and break it when you're taking it out. You could take it off now. Be really careful with this, okay? That's going to be the more expensive part of this whole thing. All right, to get the breather box out, I went ahead and loosened up this clamp, loosened up the clamp that goes to the engine, and then slide this out of the connectors. Slide that out, bring that, make sure we're going to use that later. Now, there's also a bolt right over here. I just loosened it up. You want to take that out. That connects part of the intake to the fan shroud. Then you want to get that hose up, loosen that up, make sure the hoses are disconnected, and just turn that, slide that right out like that. Now that you have the breather box and the intake out, there's the air filter. And then this box down here, part of the breather box, is just sitting on two pressure grommets. All you have to do is lift that up and pop it off the grommets at the bottom. Now, this truck has a broken piece right there. That's actually going to be a little bolt back here, so just check for that on the back of the box. This truck was broken. That slides out, everything's out. Now you can see in there where the breather box goes and where the pipe connects to the engine. All right, next thing you want to do is take the air box, and this is the air filter holder, and that's actually going to go in the air box. And I shouldn't say holder, it's I guess the like spacer. It actually fits right in there. So what you're going to do is take it, put it in the air box right there, line it up with these bolt holes and put that together. Use these two 6mm bolts. There's only two of them that are the same, and I would put a washer and a lock washer on them, on these ones, so that doesn't come loose. Once you have that lined up, go ahead and tighten those bolts up. They don't need to be torqued too tight. Remember, that's just plastic in there, and that's going to be sitting just like that. Now, what you're going to do is get these go on the bottom of this air intake, right in these holes. So turn that like that. The long one goes on the air filter intake side, and this one goes on this side, sticking out the bottom, and that's going to slip into the grommets in the truck, the rubber grommet. All right, so what I would do is you can actually put these little nubs into the rubber grommets in the truck, but I would actually put this one on first, because it's going to be awfully hard to tighten it once it's already in the truck. So put that one on, and then you're going to bring this over here, and this is going to fit right into these rubber grommets. So the short one goes in here, and then the long one, go ahead and put it in here ahead of time, because then later you can actually hold on to that while you tighten it from the top once this box is on. Now, also take this bolt out right here. This is actually the air inlet support, or air box support bolt. So take that off right now. All right, now that you have that bolt out and the support stud in there, you're going to take the breather box and slide this support nub into there. You may have to lift up on this little air vent right here and then slide it in to get it in there. All right, now that the air box is in place, you can't press this into the grommet, so just reach back behind underneath, feel for the rubber grommet, and make sure that nub is lined up. Now take the bolt that you took out of the air intake support, and you're going to put that through the box and the support and put it back in. You're going to have to mess around with it because the air intake support kind of slips down a little bit. So once you get that in, then tighten that back up, and then come over to this side. You've already got the grommet set in. You're going to line that up. Can you hopefully see that gold thread down in there? Line that up and put in the other bolt. I believe it's the 8mm one. With the, hopefully this helps a little bit, I got a little more light. With that support bracket bolt in there, holding the air filter housing on, then just like I mentioned, go over, line that thread up right there with the box, and take this, put a washer with a lock washer on it. This is the 8mm, I believe. Once you have that bolt down in at the bottom in place, it's a 14mm socket. Just go in there, press down on the air box to get some friction with the rubber grommet. There you go, tighten that up. And if you want to do the rubber grommet on this side first, like we just did with that one, pushing down on the air box will help you get some of that friction to hold that grommet in there while you tighten it. But this one definitely is a little harder to tighten because the bolt's a little longer. All right, now we got everything in place. We're going to start putting the rubber connector on there. We put the rubber connector on the intake over here, throttle body. Start putting the rest of it together. So here's the rubber connector for the filter side. Here's the rubber boot for the throttle body intake side. They have 3 different sizes of the clamps. So you're going to get the smaller clamp onto the rubber boot, the larger clamp onto the intake. Make sure you have the clamp that goes around the air filter itself. Alright, so the rubber boot, that's got a little difference from end to end. It's tapered. You're going to put on this end right here, and I'm going to have to loosen that up a little bit, but that slides on. Make sure the clamp's on there. And then the other boot goes on the intake of the throttle body. Slide that right under there and onto the throttle body mouth right there. Then you take the rest of the intake pipe. All right, once you get the intake pipe, the metal piece into the right position, tighten the clamps up. I left these ones loose so I could get the proper orientation. You gotta move this boot a little bit out. It'd be nice if this pipe had about another 1/2 inch to 1 inch to it, would be a little more easy to position. But with these clamps, make sure you have the overlap on each area proper over the pipe, because once you tighten these clamps down, these clamps are not very good quality, and they tend to, once they get tight, it's soft metal, they tend to strip, and I've seen them before. So if it does, then you end up having to buy another clamp because you got to loosen it up and it's just going to strip and get all seized up. Now what you need to do, oh, and actually I put this cover on with the little bolts in just to make sure all the holes lined up while I got all this positioned properly. All right, with the stock air box, this is the little air pressure sensor or vacuum sensor. So it has a rubber grommet. You just want to slowly back this out, twisting it and a little bit back and forth until that comes out. And then take the rubber grommet out. There you go. And so just be careful with that. Now you want to be real careful with this mass airflow sensor, and this is a T15. Just take that out And so with the mass air, if you're not familiar with the mass airflow sensor, once you take it out, be very careful. Do not touch any of this small stuff. Do not drop it, because if you touch it, get it dirty, drop it, and it gets out of sync, you have to buy an all new one. And I don't know if these are any $80 to $150, so I've never priced one of these for the Ford F250. So put this somewhere where it's not going to get hit, and you're going to put that into the new replacement pipe. All right, with the mass airflow sensor, gently put it in, and now right around the very edge of the base of the mass airflow sensor right here is a rubber seal. You can clean that off if it has some dirt and dust on it, and then slide that in with this up, because your sensor wire is right here. And then Rough Country Aftermarket, they have some little bolts that go in there. You can't use the stock ones because they're for plastic. Now this grommet, they also have a aftermarket grommet. I'm going to use the stock one, but it comes with one, and you got to fit that into this hole right there, and then you have to get that and just twist it and slide it until it slowly goes in and is seated right there. And there you go. Make sure the pipe can't be facing up this way, because this is gonna hit your hood. So I could have even twisted it a little more back, but this is pretty good. And come over here. This bracket goes right here for these hoses. And tighten that down. You can use the bolt that was there, stock. Take the other bracket, put it in right here, and then you're going to just move this bracket over a bit. I'll tighten it down some more, but just use these zip ties that come with the kit, and the zip tie fits right in there and clamps that hose down. Oh, with the front edge of this, they have this rubber piece you can slide on there along the front edge, and then the front edge of the top piece, which is going to go on here. And what I did is I just wrapped around here, and I actually just cut it so it went around the corner. Oh, if you can see that. Now what I'm going to do is put the filter in. All right, sorry about that. My camera battery died. All right, so you already have this in. Got the air filter. Now, one thing I did is Rough Country also has this pre-air filter. It slips over top of this, and it just helps to, I'm going to give it a go. It's going to help to just keep the bigger junk out, so it slips over just like a bag over the filter. There's the air filter in. This is the pre-filter bag that's on it. Just gives it a little more filter for the big particles. I don't think it's really going to hamper the airflow that much, but I'm going to give it a try. Whenever you do all this stuff, just make sure you put all these pipe clamps so that it's accessible to these areas right here to tighten it up. And now just going to take the cover, button that up, and fire it up. Actually, you know what? I'm going to start it first, and I'm just going to see how this is with this pre-filter on it, what the airflow is like. All right, I got my helper little D in the truck. We're going to go ahead and start it up. That fires up. Sounds pretty good. Hey, give it a rev. A little more. All right. That sounds good, and this doesn't even look like it's having trouble pulling any air at all. All right, let's put this top on, take it for a drive. All right, here it is, little test drive. Now keep in mind this is a stock 2016 F250 King Ranch, and right off the bat I can hear, it's got a little bit more of a deeper rumble to it, and then the turbo, I can hear it at lower RPMs, the whirl of it a little bit more. Let's see. And it may even have a little bit of lower end throttle response. It's hard to tell. Of course, if you're only adding a few horsepower, or well, hopefully a little bit more. They always say you could get 20 or 30 or 40 horsepower from an intake, but I find that hard to believe. Maybe more like 10 or 20 with better air intake. So hold on a second here, and I'm going to let a car go by, and we're going to do it from a dead standstill, see if we can 0 to 60. But here's the sound. And then we're going to go from a dead standstill and see what we got going on here. See if they get any tire movement. Oh yeah. Of course there's no squeal, but the tires were spinning. I got 35s on this thing, and that's better than what it has in the past. So it's got a little extra power on the low end, and then hopefully over long periods we get a little more horsepower. All right, well, there you go for the rough country cold air intake. Overall, not too bad. The only thing that I could say is they could have used the clamps could have been a little bit better quality. For an extra $5 or $10 I would have paid, but for the price of the whole unit, it's pretty good. There it is, all finished. I actually cut this little piece of rubber off. It wasn't staying real well, and plus any air that's going through there is probably going to be cold.